In this video, we're going to look at how to create drum patterns using the pads on Push. Push is unique in that you can use the pads both for the natural finger drumming of patterns, as well as the step sequencer for precise beats with a high level of visual feedback. We can even combine both methods at the same time for the fast and effective creation of drum patterns directly from the hardware. First, press the Add Track button to create a new MIDI track. Using the encoders above the display or the buttons below the display, you can navigate Live's browser directly from Push to find a drum kit. Once you've found one, press the green button to load the kit. Press the Browse button to exit Live's browser. Push will automatically configure the pads when you load a drum kit. We have three main areas to create drum patterns on the fly. The 16 yellow pads for real-time finger drumming, the top 4 row of pads for step sequencing, and the 16 pads in the bottom right to set up the loop length of the drum patterns. The touch strip on the left side allows us to navigate up and down the drum rack banks should there be more than one bank of drum rack sounds loaded. As soon as you hit a yellow pad, the drum rack pad is selected and turns from yellow to blue, and the parameter values are visible in the display. If the drum rack pad contains no sample, then these are white in color. The pads for the step sequencer represent 32 steps, and their resolution can be set with the grid buttons on the right. We can decrease and increase the resolution, in other words, the number of steps that are represented by our step sequencer grid. Let's start by adding some notes with the step sequencer, since this will start Live's transport and begins the creation of a drum pattern loop. You can add step sequence notes one by one or push multiple steps simultaneously. We can keep building our pattern by holding down the Select button and choosing another drum pad and continue the process of adding step sequencer notes. Holding down the Accent button while pressing a step creates a velocity dynamic, which makes the dark blue step sequencer notes louder than the others. Press the Duplicate button to copy the current drum pattern for us to continue recording it. Now let's use the 16 pads to overdub some more drum notes. Choose the sound you wish to record in the overdub. Now press the Record button and start overdubbing your drum pattern. Let's overdub some percussion to the current drum pattern. Pressing the Repeat button allows me to play repeated notes and different durations, selectable using the grid buttons, and also with different velocities depending on the amount of pressure used on the velocity-sensitive pads. The swing rotary encoder allows an amount of swing to be added to the notes in real time, which gives a more humanized feeling to our drum notes. Adding some more drum notes using the yellow pads to create more variations is easy, but say you need to improve the timing of the notes. Holding the pad and pressing Quantize allows the note to be quantized to a specific grid value and amount. Holding the Quantize button on its own allows the amount of quantization and the grid to be set, as well as the possibility that notes are quantized during recording. By holding down a blue pad in the step sequencer grid, I can also nudge the individual drum notes and change their individual velocity using the encoders above the display. Using the undo button, we can go back a step in the recording process by pushing it once or several times to go back subsequent steps. This time, I'll use the metronome to give me a click track for overdub recording. You can hold the shift button and turn the master encoder to adjust the volume of the metronome. Let's extend the drum pattern. Using the double button, I can increase the size of the loop to twice the original size. Using the 16 pads on the right, by selecting 2 pads, I can set the overall length of a pattern. So we've now covered the basics of creating drum patterns on the fly. In the next video, we're going to look at how to play musical notes and chords using push.